Okay, then I guess the next thing on the list would be when Aunt Florence got married and you went to Chicago for the wedding.
That's right. And I was expecting Don in about 3 months, maybe 4 months.
So that would have been the end of 1934.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell that story.
Well, we went down, and Dad and Mother came out to the house to be with Gerry and Jack. And we took Seal and Eileen, met them at Forest Junction, and took them with us. Matt came and with them as far as Forest Junction. That was a shortcut for him. And so went down to the wedding on Friday afternoon. Well, the wedding was on Saturday, but we wanted to get there the night before. Went to Mrs. Charles Ruby's mother's house, and Aunt Catherine and Aunt Seal and myself slept in one bed. I didn't sleep, of course, everybody else might have a little bit. And then the next morning was the Mass and the wedding ceremony and so on and so forth, and we had a dinner. Well, I don't know where we had the dinner, at some place, I think. I don't think it was at Rugy's. And the following day, after Florence and Charles had left, they went to Houston, Texas on their honeymoon. That's where they went. And following day, we went to the World's Fair, which was going on that year in Chicago. From morning after Mass on Sunday until midnight. That was the time that Gerry got an attack of appendicitis at home, and Dr. Walkirk wouldn't operate without our permission, and so they paged us at the World's Fair. Many people heard the name being announced, but we didn't, which was lucky, because if we did, well, but we stayed for the end of the thing, the fireworks, which they were beautiful, and at that time we thought so. When we got back to the Rugies, that was what we were told. Well, Seal and Eileen, of course, had to come back with us, and Eileen's had to sit in the front seat on the way down, but on the way back, Daddy said that I had to sit in the seat to keep him awake because he was so tired. Not thinking whether I was tired or not, but he was doing the driving. And so that's the way it was. But I had a heck of a time to keep him awake. Had to keep in a monotone, talking all the time didn't help either. But just when I'd see his head nodding, then I'd wake up. And we got to Forest Junction, and Matt met us there. Someone must have called and told him to meet us there at a certain time. Then we got home. It was about 8:30 in the morning, and got ready to take Gerry to the hospital, take Dad and Jack and Grandma to their house in De Pere first, and then go down to the hospital. Okay, after Gerry's surgery, which was up on the 3rd floor, I think at the time, with a little waiting room not too far from the operating room. Windows low down to the floor. Daddy was sitting in a rocking chair right next to the window. And all at once I saw the chair going over.
Oh, he was sitting.
Well, yeah, in a rocking, kind of a rocking chair. I thought he was going to go through the window, and I jumped up and grabbed him and got him down, and he got onto the floor then, and when I entered the place, I noticed a pitcher and a glass. Very likely a lot of people needed it. So I ran out and got a glass of water. And when I did that, if someone noticed me, and they rushed in. And when he came to, there were doctors, nurses in a circle around him on the floor. He was so dead tired that he would just fainted away.
Well, and then the smell of the ether?
Yes, very likely. Didn't bother me, but that was one thing.
Oh. So then not too long after that, Donny was born. So tell that story.
Okay, that story. Well, it was the 19th of February, Uncle Edwin's birthday, and called Dr. Walkirk at Wayside about 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, he said wait until the pains were about every 5 minutes apart. Well, I thought, So Gerry had a bad cold. Jack was upstairs in bed until 7 o'clock or so, and took Gerry upstairs in his own bed and made up the bed for myself. And what else?
Well, would Jack have gone to school? Or was...
Well, he was in school. Yeah, he was in school. He was in first grade, I imagine, whatever. And...
but because there was a blizzard...
Yes, it was snowing very hard. He didn't, I don't think he got to school that day. I don't remember too much about it, but then when Walkirk said this, well, when the pains came as frequently as they were coming, they were pretty swift. So he came in the house, they put Jack's coat and cap on him and gloves and whatever, and pushed him outside.
In a blizzard.
In the snow, yeah. Do whatever he pleased. And Walkirk didn't take his jacket off or his boots.
There was no time.
There was no time. And then Daddy tried to give me a whiff of ether, and he put the thing up on the top of my forehead someplace. Didn't need either.
So Daddy was the nurse?
He was the nurse. And that's all I had in the house was Daddy and Jack and Gerry sick upstairs in bed. So Clara Martin, someone called her, I don't know. Maybe Arlene, well, Arlene was working for Dr. Walkirk as an office nurse at the time. So she came for a day. He sent her up. And, well, I knew where everything was, and Jack knew where everything was. Just ask him, and he knew where everything was, all the baby clothes and things. So that was good. It was one drawer, and she knew, or he knew where it was. And poor Don. And then Clara Martin, her mother, Arlene's mother, came down for 2 days. Well, I don't think my mother came out. It was winter. It was, and that was it. Then I got on my own.
Well, then sometime later, Jack had his tonsils out.
Oh yeah, well, that was perhaps that following summer. And Bernie McCann was there. He liked to visit the farm. Well, that was their nature. They came every year before we were married. So he was there, and he thought Don was the best baby he ever saw. Don would go, and he'd go to the crib, and Don would smile at him. He still does smile nice. And Jack was to have his tonsils out on the kitchen table in the kitchen. And I think perhaps, I don't remember whether Arlene was still working for him then or not. Yeah, well, Bernie McCann told Jack that the doctor was just going to slit his throat and take the tonsils out that way. He was quite a storyteller like his father, you know, teasing. And well, of course, I don't know whether Jack understood, but maybe he did. But anyway, after the tonsils were out, he hemorrhaged like a dog, you know, just was terrible. Well, Walkirk, he made one trip, but he made 15 trips between Wayside and our house, getting ice from anywhere he could find ice. He was scared stiff.
Well, how did Bernie feel?
We didn't see Bernie all day. I looked for him, well, I didn't have time to run out looking for him, but there was no sign of Bernie anywhere. He was worried as he could be after telling him those stories.
Oh.
Poor Bernie.